Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and we have something that is just crazy cool to check out today. Not only something that is crazy cool, it's also my very first chance to check out some work from Popcult Dragons and their Prehistoric Earth collection. This is their Pteranodon. Now, what's cool about this is this pterosaur model is actually based on Stieven's art. If you are unfamiliar with Stieven, you can follow him on Instagram as well. He's a very talented artist, and the model here again was like a collaboration between Stieven and Popcult Dragons to get this pterosaur out, and honestly it looks so spot on to his artwork. It's really quite impressive. Like, it is absolutely stellar, and the coloration that they've chosen for it is also really nicely done. Again, they've given it a very cool color scheme, a very flashy but naturalistic color scheme at the same time. So the Pteranodon, as you can see, looks great, but we are going to get into that a little bit further here in a moment. First, I do want to show off the fact that they have included a very cool piece of artwork, and actually I think we're just going to stand it back up and then kind of bring the camera back. But a piece of artwork that you can see shows off the Pteranodon back there, as well as the species information. This is artwork again from Stieven, who the model is based off of, so it's really cool to have this included as well. Just have a little bit of both of the artists again that are combined to create this model with Popcult Dragons and Stieven's art. But on top of that, they also give you a certificate of authenticity, which you can see. It tells you about the model, and it is the first piece of the Prehistoric Earth collection, so that straight away is really exciting to have the very first piece from that collection. But you can also see, again, it is a limited edition of 30 pieces, and you can see some information over here about it, as well as the scale and 1/15th scale, and again the fact that I have number 8 of 30, and it was created in Brazil, which you can see right there. So you've got all sorts of information, as well as again the artist right here that has signed it. So on top of everything, you get a signature included, and it's also beautifully laminated, as is the artwork back there. But again, we have our Pteranodon right here. I do want to say one thing before we fully get into the review. You may notice that there is a little bit of damage on the wings of mine down here on both sides, and that is because my postal service is very unreliable. Unfortunately, when this was on its way to me, they decided it would be a great time, I guess, to play soccer with the package. Of course, they would do that with a fragile model, and the package, when it had gotten to me, was so beat up and like crushed up because of the way that the postal service had handled it. And this, of course, is in no way the fault of Popcult Dragons. They did a stellar job on this, and in fact, it was actually packaged really well inside the box. But honestly, it was almost like they were throwing heavy boxes on top of this box and crushed it down. So the wings did break off, unfortunately, just this part. But I was actually able to glue them back on, and for the most part, I think they almost look as good as new. So hopefully, besides this one spot I was a little iffy on, I didn't do such a great job. But for the most part, it looks pretty good. Hopefully, it doesn't look too bad. But regardless, I'm really excited to get a closer look at this. So let's jump straight to it. So beginning with our Pteranodon, look at how phenomenal that looks. What a beautiful appearance for the model. Like, that head sculpt is gorgeous. We have this really nice long beak, even comes down to a little bit of a curve there for the tip of the beak. And of course, you can really see and appreciate, I think, that kind of animated sort of style that we have for our Pteranodon. Even that look in the eyes, the way that the eyes are kind of scrunched up, just has so much emotion to it, so much of a character to the Pteranodon. I absolutely love it. I also am a big fan of the coloration that they've given this. The coloration is so nicely done, as is the actual paint application of the model. They've done a great job of bringing this to life with various different tones of color, where they've allowed it to have that nice flashy look, but again, looking nice and naturalistic overall. You've got variations of whites, grays, darker and lighter grays. You've got black, yellow, different shades of yellow actually. Like right here, as you lead back into this area, you can see a nice light yellow in the center, kind of running up here, but then a nicer, more vibrant a little bit darker variation of yellow kind of following along the outer edge. And you kind of see that same thing here where we start with the lighter yellow and we transition out smoothly to that more vibrant yellow for the tip of the beak. We've also got those stripes moving down through the course of the beak as well. And then as you come up here into the top, you can see this really cool speckling that kind of runs along the upper part of the beak up into the head of the pterosaur. It briefly stops and then picks back up as you lead out into the crest as well. And again, you also have this darker gray that stripes through, picking back up here in the crest. Again, just giving it such a really cool visual. We've also got the nostrils right there, and you can see the nostrils are highlighted with a darker tone on the inside. You can also see the eyes are painted again with a yellow, giving a black pupil, and there's also a beautiful blue that circles around the eye of the pterosaur. They've done a great job of highlighting the mouth as well with a darker tone, and again, just bringing this to life in such a really cool, very impressive way. Of course, you'll see the same thing over here on this side of the head of the Pteranodon. Everything looks just as beautiful as it did on the initial side. As you lead back here into the back of the neck, you see again a lighter variation of yellow pickup, but we've also got some white kind of spots, and that, in my opinion, almost gives it the feeling of having pycnofibers. I think that might have been what they were going for, maybe. It kind of gives it that look, and that as well, I think, looks really cool. You can see a bit of a turn to the neck of the pterosaur as it's obviously looking to its left, and you'll see once we lead down and take a look at the base, it's kind of standing on a ledge, so it looks like it's just sort of surveying the area, maybe trying to spot some fish swimming by that it might swoop down and grab. But as you lead down, you continue to lead down, you can see that they've painted out like the creasing here in the neck, again with that turn in the neck for the pterosaur. You can also see the shoulder blades a little bit right here are actually sculpted out. You can also follow along the spinal column. We see this lighter yellowish tone sort of disappear as we move further down, and then we transition to that really nice white coloration, nice bright white. And you can see as we lead into the wing here of our pterosaur, we continue to have more of those white spots kind of leading out from the white body into the grayish tones for the wings. The wings obviously transition to that darker gray. We have a little bit of that lighter gray showing up there. Again, a nice outlining there. As you move down into the hands as well, you can see that the fingers are sculpted beautifully. We've got some really nicely painted nails with a gray, but I love this bluish tone and the fact that they actually have like a striping of a different lighter blue right there in the fingers. That looks really neat. And then you lead up here through the course of the wing and you've got that speckling returning, and then as you transition out toward the tip, you have a light gray speckling right there. Again, there's actually so much color variation to this. They really did put some significant thought into the coloration and paint application of this pterosaur, and it looks absolutely phenomenal because of it. As you lead down here, you can see the leg. You can also make note to the fact that there is some more of that speckling back here on the wing as well, but you see this white tone run down through the course of the body down into the leg, again transitioning very smoothly to a bluish tone. And then we lead out, we again have that lighter blue out there for the toes, again the gray nails, and again it just has such a flashy look to it. I absolutely love it. You can also see the tail of our pterosaur includes more variations of color, including some yellows. And then if we turn the pterosaur around, you'll see almost the same thing, of course, over here, because the pterosaur is in a standing position, so you're not going to see too much difference from one side to the other, but you can see again that it looks nice and consistent to what we had seen on the first side. But also beautiful here on the underside. You can see we've got that nice white tone as well as that yellow, just like we saw in the back, kind of fading away as you run further down into the stomach region. You've got some more of those gray speckles and everything here on the underside of the wings. So that is an absolutely incredible looking model, and I just cannot stress enough how much I love this style. I'm so hyped to see what else they are going to create in the future, because if they follow this same similar style of having this kind of animated, slightly exaggerated look, these are going to be gold, because this one, in my opinion, is definitely that. It is absolute gold. And if that wasn't enough, this base is awesome, because it actually is something I really like. But as we bring it up, you can see we've got kind of like a mountain ledge sort of thing going on. I can just imagine the pterosaur standing on the edge of a cliff looking over the ocean. And to show you that you obviously have that sort of a look down here, you have kind of like a little bit of a sandy beach, and then you've got the ocean water right here. And they've done actually a pretty good job of bringing that water to life. It has a very nice, very realistic look to the water itself, which you can see there as we move through, as well as the beach. Again, they've even given the beach area some variation of color with a white and then some yellow kind of streaking through, which I think looks really cool. But as you move up here into the ledge-like area, again, that rocky ledge, that cliff edge, you can see that is sculpted beautifully and also painted very nicely. You've got variation of color to it as well as you move through, but you'll also notice that, again, in an area like this, I guess you would expect to see this sort of thing. We've got like that bird poop sort of a look going on, and there's quite a bit of it. And if you think about it, I mean, you're going to have pterosaurs galore around here, especially our buddy right here, and there's going to be a lot of this occurring. Any area that you see birds, you're going to see tons of bird poop. So any area I would think that you would see a mass area of pterosaurs, you're going to see pterosaur poop, and you can see they've replicated it so nicely and so realistically. Like, that's just the coolest little touch. Tiny things like that just really tick all the boxes for me, and again, make me appreciate a model way more when you add little bits of realism to it. And you can see again that same thing here for this model as you move through. It's pretty much looking the same way all around. And then if you actually turn it to the underside, we also have our limited edition number down here, as well as again the Popcult Dragons logo. So that is an awesome base to go with an epic Pteranodon. As far as a size goes for our Pteranodon, you're not going to get much in the way of a length or anything with this model. We will go for a size though, obviously, and if we go from the ground to the top of the crest of our pterosaur, you are looking at just a little over 6.5 inches, or about 16.5 centimeters. And for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day human being next to our Pteranodon. And you can see it's not a massive model by any means. It's definitely not huge. But at the same time, I think it sports a very nice, very convenient size for a model like this. So that is also a huge plus, I think, to this, because it's not a model that's going to be too small that it won't grab the attention of somebody in your collection room, but it's also not a model that's again, too big where it's just taking up way too much room. It's a very nice, very conveniently sized pterosaur. For another comparison, we have a Mattel Velociraptor and Dilophosaurus, just because they're very popular figures that many people have. So another round of figures that I think would be some, good ones to bring in for a comparison. We've also got the Collect Day Deluxe Dimetrodon, Safari LTDU Tyrannus, and Schleich Diabloceratops standing in for another comparison with our Pteranodon. And then for another comparison with a similar Pteranodon, we have the Pteranodon Sternbergi from Collect Day next to our Pteranodon from Popcult Dragons, and you can see kind of similar as far as the positioning goes, but I mean that's inevitable when it comes to a standing pterosaur. But you can also see that the Collect Day version is a little bit bigger than we have for the Popcult Dragons version. We've also got the Invicta version of the Pteranodon here next to the Popcult Dragons. You can obviously see not much of a comparison between these two. And here we have our average Mattel-sized pterosaur, as we have the Ornithochirus next to our Pteranodon. I did want to bring in the Safari LTD Pteranodon because I know that is a popular one, and also similarly positioned as we have with this one here from Popcult Dragons, but I have no idea where it went. I actually just spent probably a good 40 minutes looking for it, and apparently it disappeared off the face of the earth. So that's a mystery that I'll never understand. I'll have to keep searching for it, I guess. But I did want to bring in a Mattel Pterosaur again for at least one final comparison. So this brand new prehistoric Earth collection Pteranodon from Popcult Dragons is awesome. Like, I honestly can't even begin to stress how much I love this, because it's just so different. It's so unique in a world where everybody's trying to make the most, highly detailed, accurate, sort of as lifelike as you can possibly get it, dinosaur or pterosaur. It's either that or they're going to go the Jurassic Park or Jurassic World route. It is nice to have a little bit of a change of pace once in a while, have something a little bit different where you have a company that obviously is trying to make themselves, their accurate interpretation, but in sort of an animated style. It's just so different than what we often get, and because of that, I feel like it's almost a breath of fresh air to see something like this, and they did such a good job on it overall, really bringing this pterosaur to life in a very nice, realistic realistic way while still having that animated style. You know, the coloration is beautiful on this, and they've done a great job of actually applying the coloration. There's such smooth transitions, and on top of that, everything on this is so perfectly and precisely applied. There's just zero sloppiness when it comes to the paintwork. So straight out of the gate, you can see that Popcult Dragons obviously care about what they are creating. They care about their product immensely. So if you do order one of these, you are going to definitely get yourself an incredible paint job on top of an incredible pterosaur. But I also just love the way that they've painted it out so that they, even though it again has that kind of smoother animated look, they've allowed the paint to basically tell the story of the detail. And that as well is really awesome. Like, you know, if I were to paint something like this, I wouldn't even know where to start to really make it look lifelike, but they've done such a good job of doing that. So I feel like they absolutely should be commended for how creative their paintwork is. We've also got a really nice pose, and the fact that the pterosaur is kind of standing here on a ledge and everything is really cool, almost telling a little bit of a story with the model, and really, again, helping to create the setting and take you into the moment that the pterosaur is standing on that rocky ledge, that cliff edge. And again, the pose just gives it that almost like that proud sort of old pterosaur that basically has been running things for quite some time in this area, as it just stands up there on its ledge looking around, almost giving off again a little bit of attitude with the appearance to the face and the way that they've added emotion to it. So I really like that as well. And you have that super cool base again with the Pteranodon or pterosaur, because, you know, who knows, it could just be a number of different pterosaurs that left it there, but the fecal matter on it, and of course the water down below, as well as the little beach area underneath. Like, everything is just so awesome on this, and it is just so professionally created that I have to give them some big time props for such a beautiful release. So if you are interested in picking one of these up for yourself, as I had said earlier, this is a limited edition of 30, and that's not a very high number. You know, with 30 overall, there's not many to go around. So if you are interested in grabbing yourself one of these and adding this to your collection, I would absolutely recommend getting on that immediately. Like, you absolutely need to get your order in as soon as possible so you do not miss out on this again, and you have the pleasure of adding it to your collection, as I do here with pride, because this is definitely one of the coolest pterosaurs that I have. So if you are interested, I will include a link in the description to the Instagram account where you can contact them to order. And if you do not have social media, you can, of course, contact me, and I can contact them for you to help you place an order. One way or another, it is definitely a huge recommendation from me, so make sure you pick up this awesome Pteranodon, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.